somewhere on Periscope, soon to be Twitch, and then I see you, YouTube. The little wheel is spinning, and there we go. Look at that! Oh my gosh, we're even like 42 seconds early. In Awesemo time, that's almost 5 minutes early. Oh, so here we go, gamers. We're here. We have game 3 going on. When Terry and I talk about strikeout props, do the opposite of whatever it is we do, because Bueller 10 strikeouts. I did not see that coming.
I had the over yesterday.
Oh, did you? Oh, don't do what I do then. I had the under for both guys.
Props, buddy. 2 for 3. I just got nailed on the Snell one that we were getting black for yesterday, but yeah, we hit that one with the picks. So what I haven't hit is the home run. It's a lot harder, it turns out, to hit the home run call when there's only one game to work with. So we're trying, but yeah, we did get the props, so don't sweat that one.
All right. Well, I said, oh, there's so many things that could go wrong, and then wouldn't you know, Morton gets 6 when the prop is 5.5. It's like, really? You're gonna do that to me? It's your old pal. What's going on? Oh. Never.
Well, I thought we were going to miss the Bueller one because he got through, what was it? I think the 5th. The end of the 5th, he was an 0-2 count, and he ended up, I think the guy lined out, or I forget what it was, but he didn't get the strikeout. And I said, oh boy, that's going to be the end of him. And then he came back out and picked up another few strikeouts. So that was pretty nice.
That was definitely key. All right. While we're waiting for some people to gather, I'm going to see if our little tweet's going out. But let me put in today's free content for MLB. This is the MLB rankings, so I'm dropping that link there into chat. And what Alex does here is we have player rankings for all the sports. He gives them like in school when you get grades A through F. Well, we don't go F, we do E, because you know that's just alphabetical. But E is the worst, A is the best, and we rate them on points and value. And it's something that I find helpful, in particular for golf and for NASCAR, because those are the two sports I don't know as well, and I can use them to create tiers that help me out and avoid the tiers, because it gives me a fighting chance there. So that's something that I've really liked. I also like the grades when we have our top stacks tool. That is something that is also helpful, along with the goalies. Those are my favorite uses. For baseball, I forget now if this was year 31 or 30 or 31 of fantasy baseball for me. I kind of know that one, so I got a lot of that internalized. May not remember the names. I may be calling today's players by their father's name, but hey, at least I've got the concepts down here. So that's definitely good here. Oh, nice one. Steven Leibowitz makes the reference to 96 tiers. That was who did that? Was I believe it was question mark. Or that was the name. That was what the guy went by who sang that.
Okay.
And originally they were going to call it 69 tiers, but they felt
classy.
The A&R man said, you know what? They're really not going to like to play that on the radio because this was back in like the 60s. But there you go, 96 tiers. I'm sure they'll let me know what that is. But anyway, one hit wonder. There we are. Oh yes, question mark and the Mysterians. There we go.
Solid name. I like that. I might have to have Alexa pull that one up later.
Yeah, it's a catchy song. It's definitely a catchy song. A lot of call and response. But anyway, so for I think we have we got something free for NFL. Let's go see what that is. That is going to be the Express Stacks is free for NFL, as is the lineup builder. So you can check that out. And our lineup builder, that's not the Fantasy Cruncher, but that's the Awesemo lineup builder, where you it has all the player pools. You can choose FanDuel or DraftKings, choose the slate, and then it brings in the salaries, everything else there with you. If you have the Awesemo projections, those will come in as well. Otherwise, it'll just kind of give you the basics. And then from there, what it does is, as you build your lineup, it tells you if it's contrarian rating and your value rating. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And then when you build the lineups that you like, you can save them and you can export those out and then upload them. But you're not pushing a button; you're choosing each of the players that go in it. Anyway, let's move on here to MLB. We'll have some fun. We've got plenty of time to go over everything, literally everything. What stood out from you yesterday that you want to carry over today? Was there any particular? I mean, everybody came in fresh from the bullpen yesterday, so no one. I mean, today has to be the consecutive day, so everybody's good from that aspect. And then, were there any injuries? Did you see any pinch hit situations that you may want to keep an eye on for today? Because I don't think either of our pitchers are going to go super long today. I'm thinking 3 or 4 innings for each of them.
Yeah, I left them with a 5-inning projection each. I think they might hit that mark. Urias in particular might get there. Really depends on game flow and what's going on in the performance. I think they'd like to see him get through 5, but I think they're planning for probably like a 3 or 4. Somebody gets on second base in the 4th inning with less than 2 outs. They're probably going to yank him, something like that. So we'll see how that goes. It's interesting on the Rays side of things. They did use their pen, but they didn't really use their key guys. Thompson got an inning, and then it was Sheriff, McClanahan. John Curtis is kind of a key guy, but like a second-tier key guy. He got an inning and 2/3. So Anderson, Diego Castillo, Loop, some of these other guys didn't go yesterday. So they're going to be fresh with an additional day's rest before that. So we could definitely see Yarbs come out of the game pretty early. I think 3 innings is realistic. I think 4 is realistic. And then hand it over to the bullpen, probably get 2 out of an Anderson or a Castillo or maybe like a Pete Fairbanks. Really depends on where they go. Fleming is in play for that as well. So all of these guys are pretty fresh. So they could turn to any one of them. It's pretty tough to predict which one it's going to be out of that group. I think we might see an inning from each of those guys, and they've all got strikeout upside. But as far as picking which one might get 2 innings, tough to say. Maybe Anderson.
Now, we do play again tomorrow. There is no game on Monday, and then it will be needed. Then we go, no, it won't necessarily be needed, but we'll go on, depending on what happens today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tuesday will be the next game. Monday's the off day. We'll get to focus on NFL. Speaking of NFL, we have a new NFL show making its debut tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We are now giving you 4 hours before lock on this very YouTube channel. You're going to want to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, if you're on your computer, in the lower right, you'll see a little red subscribe button. Click that. Trust me on this one. Hit subscribe and then hit that notification bell. You're going to want to be reminded that this show's coming on at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern Time. It is Adam Ship My Money Share, and Josh Engelman. They will be going over Fantasy Cruncher, groups, optimizers, rules, pool setting. And this is like the real life show that goes up from your article that you created that we hadn't seen anywhere really in the industry. That is a free article where you break down all the different groups and how you want to apply different rules. We can see this in action now, Terry. There's a little bit of synergy there. I think you should be like a special guest on the show. Do you get royalties for this or something?
I mean, you know my schedule. It's gonna be a challenge. I'll have to skip nap time, which comes like usually between like 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Sundays before I get up to do the other show. But that would be fun. If I'm around and I'm up, I would definitely at least linger and chat and throw things at those guys. But I'll definitely have the groups article. The Sunday update usually goes up around 5-6 a.m. on Sunday, and then if any crazy urgent news breaks through the morning, I'll update it again and get that incorporated. But yeah, I'm excited to see that show. So I'll definitely fire it up whenever I'm conscious again, at the very least, and catch it before I go live. But yeah, those are the right guys to have in there to, talk through Fantasy Cruncher and how to put those lineups together. So should be a good show. All right. Hey, just real quick before we move on back on the baseball front, we mentioned injuries, and we should definitely hit on Cody Bellinger as part of that conversation. I don't know if you had that in mind for something to get to for the future, but he's dealing with some back tightness. Okay. So they switched him. He's not going to be in the outfield. They switched him in AJ Pollock. They're both still in the lineup, but now Pollock's going to be playing center field. Bellinger's going to DH. So as Adam just pointed out in Slack, that probably reduces the chances that AJ Pollock's going to get pinch hit for, just because he's in the outfield, not in there as a DH. So they could go to Bellinger and tell him, hey, 2 innings in the outfield late in the game, but once they move him to the DH, I wouldn't really expect that. So I don't expect them to pinch hit for AJ Pollock now. So I think that's interesting.
All right, that definitely makes sense. So I'm going to drop this link in here. We're coming back to baseball for those of you all worried about it. This is for Odds Shopper. This is for the Awesemo site where we go over all the wagers. Basically, we pull in all the player props, team lines, money lines, future bets, anything you can think of with regards to sports wagering. There's a page or a category for it. Very easy to find everything that you need. And by the way, it's Odds Shopper because you shop the odds. We're bringing in up to, depending on the sport and wager, 6 different sports books and bringing in their information. Tonight, strikeout props a little lower. Yesterday we had information coming in on 4 different sites and for both pitchers. Tonight we just have Julio Urias. I was a little surprised that Yarborough's not in there, but I guess the potential of Tampa Bay saying, we're really going to put in a 1-inning opener now that we kind of know what the Dodgers are going to do, and we're going to go with Yarbs next, right? Which is something that they would do. So maybe that's why he's not in there, because it's just harder and there's a likelihood of them pulling him. But right now the over-under is 5.5 with a minus 125 to minus 150 on the under. So they're appropriately making you pay for this. But I gotta ask, because chat's gonna want to know, 5.5, are you over under? And then lead us through the Dodgers.
I wrote it up as the under. I think it's extremely close. I got it in my projections closer than the previous 2 were, and they were both very close with Buehler and Snell. So he's even closer to that mark. It's a fantastic line by Vegas, but I took the under. Looking through his career game log, he's only hit it 4 times in his career in, I think it was 18 starts. So that's something. We know that he's got questionable innings. He did go 6 innings, I think 5 times this year when I wrote it up. So he was relatively reliable to get through a decent amount of innings when he was out there as a go-to starter option. But I don't know that he's necessarily in that role today. For the season, he was at just 20.1% strikeouts. He's at 23.2% strikeout rate. He is going up against the Rays, who were worst in baseball against lefties with a 28.1% strikeout rate on this season. So there's definitely strikeouts available, but I'm just not sure he's going to go quite long enough. And again, with the overall upside that he's got there, I don't know that he's necessarily going to break through that mark, even if he does get a full 5 innings. That's if he gets 5, I've got him like right on that mark. If he gets less, I think we're safe. And then he's also, most of the Rays strikeouts are in the back end of that lineup. So he goes through twice. He'll see those hitters twice, but he might not get to those hitters that critical 3rd time. At the top of the lineup, you'll get Brasso was the only guy out of the first 4 hitters who struck out more than 20% of the time against lefties this year, which was big, 29.8%. Yandy Diaz was just 15.6. He's 18.2% career. Rosarena, 8.7, 11.1 career. And Margot, 12.5 and 18.5 career. So the big numbers are in the back end of the lineup. So I think maybe we're a little bit safe for Urias getting to blowing through that mark. If he does get there, it's probably going to be 6.
All right, I am looking at a few things here. I'm going to set my crunches to allow me to get a couple relievers tonight. That's going to be a little bit different. People were asking about the roof. So here is what I have found. This is courtesy of the Los Angeles Times. This was from yesterday. The Globe Life Field roof was closed for Game 3 of the World Series Friday because of inclement weather. The result being was that balls hit to the outfield carried 10 to 15 feet less than with the roof open. Now, that's eyeballing it and 1 game sample size and all of that. It says, we played with it closed this summer. It didn't carry nearly as much. Blah, blah, blah. Rain and thunderstorms came in on Tuesday. So they're expecting it, as best I can tell, to be open tonight. It's going to be about 60 degrees at first pitch. Kershaw says, if you have a roof, I don't know why you don't close it. So he wanted it closed because he's a pitcher. That's why. Let's see. Mike Zunino says he wants the October atmosphere and the chill in the air. But at the same time, when they did have the rain forecasted, having a retractable roof, it makes sense to close it. So,
probably. I think so.
There we are.
Yeah, overall, I'd like a bigger sample, of course, on those numbers. 1 game to another game, a ball, a handful of fly balls falling shorter. They might have just not been hit as hard. So
correct.
It's very difficult to just go by that. We'd want a much bigger sample, but in general, I think we can assume that the roof being closed is better. So
yes,
makes sense there.
And also, the 60-degree temperatures may impact the balls just as much as the roof being closed when we compare it to playing it open and 80, 90, 100 degrees. So, leaving no stone unturned. We wanted to cover that. How are you liking kind of the AJ Pollock, Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez? I hate to call it stacking in single game because like everything's a stack because there's only 2 teams. But how do you like playing those types of adjacent players, maybe for a little more synergy? Those 3 guys all have above average ability against southpaws throughout their career, but we know there's probably going to be some righties in, and at least Pollock and Taylor's okay against righties. Pollock is actually really good, and Kike's improving.
Yeah, Kike's been a little bit better. That's a nice development for him. Not entirely relying on the platoon anymore. But yeah, overall, I do like getting to that trio. I think it makes a lot of sense, at least to start the game, like you were saying there. And I was getting a fair amount of Pollock captain on the DK crunches that I was running. And actually a decent little amount of Enrique Hernandez as well. So I'm definitely getting to that trio down at the bottom of the lineup. We know what the issues at the bottom of the lineup are. We're potentially sacrificing a plate appearance to get there, but we're giving up those guys to save some money and hopefully get to a point where we're getting off some of the more common lineups and we're getting away from some of the more popular captain plays. So I think it makes some sense to captain Pollock. He's 7% captain, so I guess he is drawing a little bit of ownership at the captain spot. But if you're putting him together with the other players, I think you can create some interesting lineups. And then another thing that I noticed just in crunching with in DraftKings, I was getting a lot of lineups in the top X projected when I sort by projection, just in doing it in Fantasy Cruncher, that were coming up as all Dodgers with just 1 Rays player. So I think just getting 2 Rays players into your lineup, as far as just going by overall projection for people sorting in Fantasy Cruncher, is going to instantly make you different. And allowing two Rays to come back against Urias, who we were just talking about, is probably not going to be in there for the entire game, isn't going to be so negative EV that it's going to hurt you that much. So I think it makes you very different to use him in the captain spot in those lineups, make sure that you're getting 2 Rays. I think that'll set you apart instantly from the field as far as the overall construction, without necessarily taking you down too far from the overall top projected lineups. It wouldn't necessarily be the most common build that I would go to there, but I think it makes sense to at least consider as like an anti-optimizer kind of a play.
All right. Reminder, we do have an active promo code going on right now. Promo code is Pumpkin. You get the full Platinum Weekly Pass for just $10.31. That would be Halloween, 10/31. I see what they did there. Did you just hear a weird laugh? I don't know. That was sound effects here. The producer is behind the soundboard, as best I can tell. All right. With that, is there anything else you would like to focus in here on the Dodgers? And then we'll have plenty of time for questions, strategies, and all of that. But I wanted to make sure we get through our player pool with plenty of time for everybody to chime in with some questions.
So I would say just maybe the ownership at captain for the lefties, Corey Seager, Max Muncy, and then Cody Bellinger. Bellinger, we mentioned, is dealing with the back strain. He was only at 2.4% captain ownership before that. If that falls, I'm kind of intrigued to go to it. If people get off of it because of the back issue, and because if he stayed in the lineup, I trust that he's okay enough to actually hit and swing the bat. I don't think they would risk him otherwise. So I think he's safe to play. So I'm hoping that maybe the injury news pushes people away from him a little bit. We get him even less ownership there. And then we're talking about with Muncy and Seager, we're talking about capable lefties in same-handed matchups. So I'm not really worried about the 2 of them. So I think we can get away with a lot with the 2 of them in the captain spot. Muncy in particular handles lefties pretty well. So I think we can do a fair amount there. And then, getting into Will Smith and like the more obvious guys, I think the righties become more popular, more obvious. Those are going to be the generally, highly played constructions. Obviously, Mookie is a fantastic player and an all-world player, and putting him in the captain spot, you can't really go wrong, but you're already going to be walking down a pretty well-trod path there, similar with Justin Turner. We saw him go off. He was awesome yesterday. He's got a very good shot of being good today, but he's going to be the most popular captain option on that team. So you instantly get different just by making a different decision at captain, and you've got a lot of high upside plays available to do that with.
All right. They're asking on, I'm assuming, Fantasy Cruncher, how can I see the relievers? Would you like to have those honors of letting them know how to get the relievers?
If you go into the upload data and you just drop in the guy's name and a projection for him, and then reload the page after you've uploaded that, those guys will appear. So I went in, I added Diego Castillo, for example, and I gave him a projection. I hit upload. I reload the page. Diego Castillo's in there, and then you just have to click the little check mark to add him to your player pool, and he should be available for you. Simple.
There you go. And if you want to get them in as captain, just add space CPTN. And again, the key part is once you've uploaded it, they'll be in there. It turns green. It means they're there. You won't see them until you hit refresh on that browser page. That's the one part that can get a little tricky that sometimes people forget to do. But that has been a very handy thing. And this works for any of the sports as long as the player is in the player pool on whichever site you're playing for this, they will appear for you. So I'm curious to see. So I just put in Diego Castillo and I uploaded him as both captain and player, and I gave each the ranking of 3. Is that going to be overwritten? No, it actually gave them the projection both of 3. But what if I change one to 2? Okay, so it does connect them once they're in, but if you upload them, it keeps it hard-coded, by the way.
Oh, that's good to know.
A little twist.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
So there we are. All right. Well, good to know. Good to know. Speaking of Diego Castillo, his teammate, Ryan Yarbrough, going to be taking the bump here. He, let's see, just went 2 innings in his last appearance in the series. But obviously, if he's slated to be the starter, his last 2 starts, he's gone 5 innings in each. 70-75 pitches feels realistic. I said something similar yesterday for Morton, and he went a little bit more. And then what did Buehler, I think, did he get to 100 yesterday? I can't remember. But he got up there he got up there with his pitch count as well. I thought he was going to be in the 85 range. It doesn't mean that's a hard cap. This is just me thinking, this is the World Series.
93.
Yeah, 90, this is the World Series. Every pitch counts. These are stressor pitches. Sometimes you don't get as many as you would normally. Plus, hey, no pitchers hitting as well, so it makes it tough for everybody all around here. How are you feeling about Yarbrough? The field currently on DK, 5% in the captain and 17% in the field. I am going 10 and 25 for my cap. I don't know where I'll get there.
Yeah, I think maybe it makes some sense to go a little bit over those numbers as far as the captain spot. We could, even if he only goes 3 innings, we could see a decent enough score from him. If it's a low-scoring game, you're not getting hitters who get there. You'd have to fade the Urias number on the other side if that happens. But you could also get a game where the Dodgers don't score much and the Rays do. Urias blows up. He gets a decent little projection. And you can get there that way. So, yeah, I think it makes sense to go a little heavier on him than what the field is doing. But I wouldn't go too crazy with it because we're expecting something of a limited game, something of turn it over to the bullpen at some point around the 4th or 5th. He's a good pitcher overall, 50 and 2/3 innings this year, 4.33 xFIP to a 3.56 ERA. 18.8% strikeout rate. So he's not the biggest strikeout pitcher in the world. Only allowed 5 home runs in that, and he's not ever really had much of an issue with the home runs. Under 1 home run per 9 for his career, and good against both hands. So nothing really to sweat there. Career as a starter, 161 innings. He's allowed 17 home runs, so 4.38 xFIP, 19.3% strikeout. So very similar to what he did this year. He is as much as I hate this saying, he is who he is. He's very much exactly going to be probably exactly what we're expecting from Yarbrough today. So I could see a couple strikeouts, 3-4 strikeouts, 4 innings pitched, something like that, and turn it over to the pen. I don't expect him to go in there and pitch 6 innings and put up 10 strikeouts. That is a very, very low probability of happening. Dodgers overall against lefties, they're very good. 9th in baseball, 192 ISO this year, 113 WRC plus, only 20.7% strikeout rate. So they don't strike out a ton in the split, 11.1% walk. So they're very good at getting on base, creating runs, 13% better than average. So tough spot for him. But again, he's only going to probably have to get through this lineup once or twice.
All right. So Manny Margot, probably my favorite hitter because on DK happens to be one of the cheapest. He is batting cleanup. We know that he can run, and he is better against lefties than righties. That helps. He won't get pinch hit for. So by default, he lands in there checking all those boxes. However, a lot of people may be flocking to Mike Brosseau, 5.4 on DK, Hunter Renfroe is 6.4. Hunter Renfroe batting 7th, Rousseau batting 3rd. Those guys are pinch hit risks. How much of a pinch hit risk do you think they are? Because the Dodgers don't, if I remember correctly, they don't have that many lefties. Bullpen, let me go double check that. But do you feel the pinch hit risk?
It's there. I mean, it's definitely, something to consider. And I think it's another thing that's going to really depend on the game flow. And if we see Urias cruising and getting through, 6th, these guys are going to be in there for most of the game. If he comes out in the 4th or something like that, and they start turning to the pen and doing some mix and match, I also do not think that they have a ton of lefties in the bullpen, but I think there's 1 or 2 guys that could certainly come in. And
so I didn't complete my thought. So here's my thought. What if they come in with a righty, force a potential pinch hit situation, the Rays take the bait, and then you've still got Alex Wood, who theoretically would be a really... I would think he has a decent chance of coming in after Urias, but that'd be lefty-lefty. Do you think they, depending on the situation, where they are in the batting order, fill in all those other blanks, do you think they take that opportunity to maybe, see what the Rays are going to do and then come back with the lefty? Not that the Rays are going to be fooled by this, because, the manager's going to go stand with his bench coach and stare at the wall in the dugout and look at the lineup card and see who's been crossed off and who's left and all that fun stuff. So it's not going to surprise them, but it'll make them make a decision. They also have Victor Gonzalez and Adam Kolarek, along with Jake McGee. So they do have several lefties that that's where they could start
go to that.
Doing something.
Yeah. But what we'd be concerned about initially, of course, is, the righty coming in and then getting the switch from a Brasso to a G-Man or a Hunter Renfroe to an Austin Meadows, something like that,
and then coming back with a lefty. Yeah,
right, exactly. And then and to your point, if you do end up playing those guys as a pinch hitter for both real baseball and in DFS, then you end up potentially getting that lefty coming in for the lefty-lefty matchup and taking the bat out of Austin Meadows' hands a little bit, and then you might have a big fat 0 in your lineup if you played him anyway. So becomes tricky for sure. There's going to be a lot of gamesmanship with these bullpens. Both of these teams like to do that. So definitely a big part of the game today. I think, especially with Brasso, I was kind of just plowing through it. If I was running 150 in DK, I would have him a decent amount. I would probably get away from him a little bit as captain. He was coming up a ton for me as captain, and I would have some. But as I think, second highest owned captain on that team, I would start getting, or third highest, right, almost basically tied with Manny Margot. I would start spreading to maybe some other guys as captain there to get off of that popularity a little bit and to get into some of the others who might be in the game for longer. So that would be one thought I would have as far as what to do with that raise and what to do to maybe offset some of that pinch hit risk. I would want them in my lineups, but maybe we bump them out of the captain spot a little bit more.
All right. Well, it's like Yogi Berra used to say, we're not playing checkers, we're playing baseball. That would be something he would say anyway.
That's totally
all right. Have fun on that. Any synergistic plays, and then chat. We've allowed some time here. Don't give us the 1v1s because pointless at this point. Although we do have the free Awesemo rankings, that will help you decide your 1v1s. But get some good questions in there. Premium chat, you get to go. You get priority. But YouTube chat, we're trying to allow enough time to get this done. So please do hit that like button and the subscribe button as well. Synergistic plays here, strategies with the Tampa Bay Rays.
As far as
batters. Adjacent batters.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Sorry.
Didn't know. Yeah, no, I just didn't know where we were going with how we were defining.
You weren't thinking what I was thinking, apparently. I should have verbalized a little more.
That's my fault. I started looking at my lineups there real quick in Cruncher, and I got off the wavelength. That's my bad. So, I think there's definitely some viability in that top third of the lineup. Of course, Yandy is super popular, 11.4% captain ownership in the leadoff spot there. But then you get down to instantly Arosarena batting second, only 1.6%. He's very expensive. It's a payout to be different option, but I like him in that spot. We saw him crank another one out yesterday late in the game, kind of a meaningless homer, but he did hit one. So we've seen him flash the upside. I keep talking down on him. He keeps proving me wrong. So, maybe he does it again. And then you can get into, maybe you play Arosarena in the captain spot and then play Brasso and Margot as your util guys. I could also see some, upside, of course, for Brandon Lowe there. You've got him against a lefty starting out, but then when we get into the bullpen, he might see a plate appearance against a righty, and he doesn't lose any real quality in a lefty-lefty matchup. So I think people are kind of ignoring him in the captain spot on DK as well. So there's definitely some, tie together plays in there. The end of the lineup, like I mentioned earlier, is where all of those strikeouts reside. So there's going to be a lot of swing and miss in this, the back end of this lineup. It's going to be tricky, but yeah, there's upside, of course, in a Hunter Renfroe. He's got immense power in the split to start the game. You might lose him halfway through the game as a pinch hitter, but he might have gone deep for you and hit a 3-run home run already and kind of not made it matter. Zunino, more likely to give you a 0 than probably anybody in the starting lineups, but he does have that home run upside, 0.2% captain ownership if you wanted to get there. So you could build in there, but I think my definite preference would be the 2, 3, 4 hitters for the Rays there.
Ooh, I got a question there, but I don't think I understand it. T-Bird, sorry, I'm not questioning. Look at Kiermaier and Barnes. I must have missed the first part here. Other than you can find home runs at the bottom of the lineup potentially. So Kiermaier in the left, because Barnes isn't in the lineup yet, so I'm scrolling up, but I don't see the first part of that potential question. Kiermaier is interesting in that he's a guy that's not going to get pinch hit for very often because they really need his glove in the outfield. The one semi-nice thing about him batting ninth is he should only have to face Urias twice at the very most, and it may only be once. So that kind of helps him a little bit there. But again, they could bring in Alex Wood or some of the other lefties that we talked about, etc. But that's a wrinkle we may want to consider. Hunter Renfroe, conversely, a little bit of a risk there, because if he'll get Urias at least once. But if it's a righty coming in, they may feel the reason to pinch hit for him, even though over his last 700 at-bats in righty-righty matchups, he has like a 252 ISO. I'm going off memory, but something similar to that. I don't know why they would do that, but they've been doing a lot of things to not play him in this playoffs. So just kind of
and I think that last Kiermaier at bat could depend on that Renfroe spot, right? If they bring in Meadows early, and then there's a next to plate appearance for Meadows, like you were talking about with the lefty-lefty, they could bring in an Alex Wood to face Meadows there and then just leave him in. 2 spots later, you've got another lefty with Kiermaier. So it could take the bat out of Kiermaier's hands again. He's got some upside. He's got a little bit of pop. He's got a little bit of speed, but overall, he's not a great hitter. I mean, he's a lifetime 248, 307, 413 / 21% strikeout rate. Against lefties for his career, that goes down to 245, 297, 365. The strikeout rate goes up to 24.7%. 288 WOBA. I'm reading this from the write-up I did on him as a potential under for 0.5 hits. I think there's a decent bet there at plus 112. So I wrote that up for the props article earlier. I think there's definitely upside there. We definitely, anybody in the lineup could hit home runs. To the question asker who brought that up. Yeah, of course. There's home run upside with literally any player in the lineup. It just diminishes based on the total amount of plate appearances, and you're typically getting better hitters at the top of your lineup. But yeah, anyone in here could hit a home run. Kevin Kiermaier could certainly hit a home run for you at decent ownership tonight, no doubt about it.
So DK leading off, Yandy Diaz coming in at 47.7. He is coming in at 11.4% a captain. A large factor of that is that he is 4,800. Do you feel like a fade for Yandy Diaz?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely play him. I don't know that I would ever advocate a full fade, especially for a leadoff hitter in a good side of his splits. Like, there's a reason he's going to be that popular. But what I would probably get away from it again is using him overly much in the captain spot. I might go like half that with him in the captain spot if I was rolling 150, and then just use him more in the util spots and get away from having to ride his multiplier. Just looking at the overall ownership, yeah, it's very heavy, and he's not the best player in the world, of course. So I would probably come in under where the public is overall on his ownership. Maybe get him somewhere around 30% in my overall ownership on him in the util spot. And then what's his overall coming in around 60. So maybe 45, I actually probably wouldn't even want him that much. but I wouldn't full fade by any means. It would take the leadoff hitter entirely out of here, and that's a key cog as far as your correlation for the top of that lineup, your run production for the top of that lineup. So I would never want to full fade it.
All right, here is an interesting questions from me. I'm considering here a now it didn't come through when they both batted ninth in what was that, like game 2, but they're both batting 8th. Former Mariners Mike Zunino and Chris Taylor. I'm going to make an EMac hedge stack, seeing players from my favorite childhood team in the World Series without my childhood team, the only team to have never made a World Series. How are you liking that strategy, Terry?
It's going to be unique. I'll give you that. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people out there playing the former Mariners stack narratives or opposing teams stack narrative there. So yeah, I think he could definitely be different. Out of the two players, I like Taylor better. I think he's got more upside in the spot. He's getting a little more ownership, higher priced, of course. Zunino, like I mentioned, is just basically going to be a 2 outcome guy. He's going to strike out or he's going to hit you 1 home run. I don't see much else for him. I think it was a 44% strikeout rate for his career against lefties or something like that.
It's pretty ugly.
It's just ugly. Very, very ugly. The guy swings and misses way too much. So I'd be worried about him. But yeah, you could get there. Why not?
Right. Corey Seager. All right. Who do you like best in the event the Dodgers were to take home the World Series hardware? Would it be most likely Mookie that gets the World Series MVP? Would it be Seager, or is it coming on the back of another good Kershaw performance, do you think, looking ahead, for anybody wagering on that sort of thing?
As far as who gets the MVP?
Yes.
I could definitely see Mookie. He's had a tremendous series, and just throughout the postseason, he's flashed it with the glove. He's just done it all over the field. World Series wise, depending on what happens over the next 2 games, Justin Turner is certainly in play, I think, as well. I think Kershaw makes a ton of sense, though. If he comes out in the next game and has another good start, I think everybody's going to want to give it to him. I think it's going to be – there's a lot of narrative for that one. So if I was wagering on it, it would probably be ranking them. I would probably put Kershaw 1, Mookie 2, but of course we're pending the results of Kershaw's next start.
All right. How about – this is my last one. 9-hole hitters, Kevin Kiermaier and Kike Hernandez, the K sound. Or is that a bad... Ooh, maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that means there's strikeouts there. Okay, let's waive that one. All right. Let's see. Hasn't Will Smith had a decent series? Yes.
Yeah. He has. He's an immense power hitter. He's very, very good.
Betts and Seager are projected. So here's Betts and Seager are projected for 1.22 hits tonight. It's hard to parse that out because the fraction is 0 or 1. So it's like 1 or 2, but so what it's saying there is probably a 12% chance of getting 2 hits and 80% chance of getting 1 hit if you're a 1.22 projected hits, because you have to look at the range of outcomes and both aren't going to happen, and it's not straight math. How about this year versus lefties? They're saying Brousseau is 333 with 4 home runs. That's interesting. Would you go Will Smith or Justin Turner on DK? Neither a pinch hit risk, which is helpful.
Just looking at it, captain ownership wise, you're getting an ownership discount on Smith there. Turner hits 3rd, so you might get the bonus plate appearance depending on what happens with game flow overall. I like both of them. They come in right around. I get a 6.31 on Turner in my home run model and a 6.27 on Smith. So like they are right neck and neck. Projection, Turner pulls ahead a little bit for me. It's a FanDuel projection, so keep that in mind. So based on that, I would, if it's a util, I might go Turner. If it's a captain, I might go Smith. Put it that way.
And I'm seeing if I can get. Ooh, it does work. There's a nice little stack. I'm trying to stack the heart of the order for the Dodgers. I'm now just building single lineups because I'm only doing 40 tonight. So I'm trying to look for some interesting outcomes. Speaking of interesting outcomes, promo code PUMPKIN, when used, while you select the Awesemo Weekly Platinum Package, will reduce the price to $10.31. The Weekly Platinum Package is all access to everything, all sports, the Slack, all the good stuff. Definitely check that out. Promo code Pumpkin. Reminder, starting at 9 a.m. Nope, I'm not forgetting because we're going 4 hours. Starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow, we have a new show that is debuting for NFL. That is going to be Josh Engelman and Adam Scherer, who will be doing the Lineup Builder show. They're going to be going over how to use optimizers, create player pools, the rules that they're using, and then how they are doing different game stacks, weighting their player pools, etc. It's the debut for that show. I'm excited to watch it. You guys should be too, so definitely check that out. You can remind yourself to check that out just by hitting the subscribe button and then that notification bell. And then now that you got the little notifications on, you'll get a little pop-up on your computer when we go live. And we're going to go live with lots of shows in the upcoming months. We found that basketball might be back around Christmas. That's word on the street, Terry. They're tentatively looking at the week around Christmas, a potentially shortened schedule of 72 games, and they are looking to get everything done so the players can go play in the Olympics for their countries if they so choose after the playoffs. Because apparently the Olympics were postponed this year. There was some sort of pandemic or something.
I hadn't heard.
How long is that platinum promo code Pumpkin good for? I bet it turns into a pumpkin.
Oh, I see what you did.
At the strike of midnight on October 31st. So you've got a few more days on that one. I don't know that one for sure, but I suspect that's going to be the expiration date.
I have a feeling. That is cool news about the NBA, though. That was great to see. I was worried that they were going to trickle into January and late January and end up with like a 60 game or so. 72 with a play-in tournament should be fun. Hopefully they get it there.
Yeah, most definitely. All right. Questions?
Yeah, just real quick. FanDuel's about 6,000 entries short on their tournament with about 10 minutes to go on the $9.99.
Oh,
just to throw that out there for people.
Which also reminds me, we do have the No House Advantage, which is the site sponsoring the show. Reminder, promo code over there at No House Advantage of Awesemo gets you a $20 match up to your first deposit of, wait for it, $1 through $20. And you can also play a very unique gaming style over there. It's based upon player props. So they will have between 50 and 70, depending on the contest that you're playing in. They've got a bunch out there for football right now. We're seeing about 30% overlay on their NFL contests. So you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on that. But how it works is amongst those 50 to 70 questions, you choose 5 of them for the player prop over under. And then you assign a confidence rating, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then that's your score that goes against the other gamers. Play head-to-head, play your friends, play 50-50s, play GPPs. It's peer-to-peer, just like we play on the other sites. Same formats as we play on the other sites, although this is player props that help calculate our fantasy points. So you're going to want to check that out. And then for the NFL, what we have set up on our projections page, we have a tab for No House Advantage. And what we do there is tell you the likelihood of the probability for the player exceeding or coming in under whatever their player prop is. And that is very, very helpful because then you can see the chance of success. If it's a stronger likelihood of success, then you would want to put more of your confidence points on that. If it's less, then maybe choose a different prop or go in a different direction. Zig when everybody's zagging. Let's see. No pitchers. That would be FanDuel. Oh, how did the FanDuel work out last night for playing one of everybody?
Well, I had a lot of dead lineups, obviously. But I did have, it didn't happen to hit just because it didn't land on the right mix, but I did have Turner was my highest owned guy in the MVP slot on FanDuel. So I was in play for, a decent amount of time, but obviously, look, it's not going to decide anything as to whether or not that's a good idea. I don't think it's overall a great idea because you are putting a decent amount of dead lineups in. But I do think it's a, way that we can differentiate things. So it's something to consider and maybe, trim down the, not everybody, but make sure to get to a broader selection of players in the MVP spot. I think might be the overall lesson that I'll take away and take into single game action for next year's playoffs, because single game baseball is not really my favorite as far as DFS selection. So I don't know that I'll be playing a ton of this through the regular season next year, but something to keep in mind for the future.
Yeah, it's been unique. It's been kind of fun really focusing on it, but for me, my mindset works entirely differently. So again, not my favorite format, but it's a couple more chances to play baseball here, which I do appreciate. I think last night I lost 70% of my buy-ins, so it's not been lucrative for me. I've had a couple okay nights, but overall I'm probably down about 30% of my buy-ins. So that's what's going to happen. I see somebody was asking the question, is that a lifetime price of $10.31 per week? No, it is just for this promotion period. Once your week is up, it is over. But I bet if you signed up today, and then you could get in again next week before the 31st, you would get 2 weeks at that price. Just throwing it out there. Sign up today, do that, and I bet you could say EMac said on the Saturday night baseball show, if I signed up on Saturday and it expired on the 31st, you'd still let me sign up for one more week at that price on the 1st. And then you can cite at 7:59 I said that. It is now on tape, it is clear, and I will clip this. So if anybody's taking it up, we'll have some proof of exactly what I did say. So you have to sign up today, and then we'll make sure you get it on the 1st. If you do not sign up today, this deal is null and void because I'm making it up on the fly.
Love it.
I'm not a lawyer. All right.
But some of the key people who would say yes or no to that promo are lawyers.
How much will Bellinger's projections be affected by his moving to DH? Not enough for it to matter.
I wouldn't think necessarily at all. It's not like his spot in the lineup changed. It's just he's not going to play the outfield. He's going to play DH.
Huge overlay.
You can factor in the idea that he's hurt, but we don't know. It's not a video game where we can be like, all right, he's 80% diminished or he's 20% diminished. We're getting some kind of data. He's got a sore back. I don't know how much that's going to affect his ability to swing. If he's, like I said earlier, if he's in the lineup, I assume that means he can swing the bat.
If you are a big baller, the 333 over there on DK has 404 out of 500 spots. There are 6.5 minutes to go. The single entry chin music has 900 spots. Doing the math right. 900 spots left. That will be rake free. Might be a little better buy-in for everybody because that's just a $5 buy-in. And then their $20 contests. Let's see. That has 2,400 spots. That'll end up going off about 6%. Reduced rake, but they will end up raking that one because someone will jump in at some point chasing a little bit of that. But it is Saturday night.
Discount?
Yeah, pardon?
Take the discount.
Take the discount.
If you can take the discount, might as well.
Does Tampa Bay win the game tonight? Well, I don't know who I'm rooting for in this one. I'm not against either team. I wouldn't be unhappy if either team won. So I guess I'm ambivalent in this one, which is a little weird because usually I have a rooting interest one way or the other.
Yeah, I usually like to make a stand and pick one of the two teams if it's not if it's not my team, the Yanks in there, obviously. But this time around, I'm going for the Dodgers. It's despite the historic rivalry with the Yankees, that's a long time past, and for me, it's a little bit. I like to see Kershaw get one. I'd like to see Justin Turner win. California over Florida every day. So, depending on how things go in a week.
Right. Let's see. We've got Bellinger and Betts hitting home runs. People are asking me if I can. Now I got 3 people asking me to lend them $333. Well, I definitely have that in my account. I am not going to be clicking on that contest, nor will I be sending that to you because that is a lot of money. I'm traveling tomorrow, so I'm making all my NFL lineups tonight, but I went and looked, and I got a little aggressive with my clicking of buttons and the number of slates I'm in. I'm in all of them, like I always am. I did not take it easy. This could be a problem, but that's okay. Alvin Kamara, a lock for NFL. We've seen him in this position before, and it didn't quite work out, but yes. Yes, he's a very, very good play for you. Do I plan on whacking anyone Tony Soprano style on this plate? Well, I don't know, but you guys missed Terry saying if somebody cranked one out, and nobody said anything about that. Oh. I'm disappointed. Needed to keep this PG, but that did happen. For anybody who wants to clip it, it was in the first 7 minutes of the show. So there you go.
I was being so careful too.
All right, we are down to mere minutes. 5 minutes left here But thank you guys for joining us tonight. We do appreciate that. We got about 400 of you, 350 left. Let's see if we can get us 100 there on the likes. Come on. Any like that happens today is a like that does not go to Josh Engelman or Dave Offie Lochran. That goes to Terry and I. So please,
there you go.
Be kind. Oh, and reminder to vote. Please do vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but please do vote. I dropped my ballot off earlier this week, and my wife did as well. So there we go. All set.
Hit me up in Slack. I will tell you who to vote for.
Well, if you want to know, yeah, I got opinions on that, but that's okay.
Most importantly, it is very important.
Everybody votes, and everybody votes safely, and that is to me is the most important thing we can do as citizens of this wonderful country is have that ability.
Yep, most definitely. It needs to be protected as well.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here. Any other good questions? Randomness. I set it at 50 for baseball. Oh, I should have brought my sticker. It's downstairs. I don't feel like running down and getting it, but it says I voted by mail or I voted virtually or something like that. I forget what it was, but you still get a sticker.
Yeah, we didn't get that in Jersey. They didn't mail it to me.
Well, you know what they say about Jersey.
That it's awesome.
That would be one word that they use. Let's see. Mookie Captain. Yes, Mookie Captain would be a nice way.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be there with a fair amount of other people, so do something else different. But yeah, he's one of the best players in baseball, probably the best overall player in this game for sure. 5% ownership, not overwhelming a captain. So yeah, just do something else different.
All right. Let's see. William Lynn says, I know who you're voting for, Terry. You're voting for EMac.
I am absolutely big time right in EMac campaign there, and yeah, I think he's going to do a better job than anybody.
Be a landslide. Clerks was filmed in New Jersey, correct? I believe you were not.
Clerks was filmed not far from my house in my hometown. Kevin Smith worked at a video store, well, that RST video store, which was not far from the video store that I worked at maybe 3 years later, and saw his movie the day that it landed on our shelves. It's pretty cool.
That is funny. All right, 90 seconds to go here. Reminder, we are starting NFL at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're going to get Adam Scherer. You're going to get Josh Engelman. The Lineup Builder show. That's the working title, but it's another hour of NFL. We're now going 4 hours straight before lock. Definitely check that out. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll go off and remind you, send you a little alert on your computer if you're logged into your computer. If you're not on your computer, the alert's not really going to help you unless you're on your phone. I get my Twitch alerts on my phone. Very helpful. Oh, pro tip. Twitch, if you watch any of our shows, all you have to do is if you flick off the screen while it's still on, it'll play in the background and you can utilize your browser and any other app. I know people can get that if you have I forget what the premium YouTube is called. I don't happen to have that, but I found Twitch does the exact same thing for free.
There you go. I like that little momentary pause you took choosing the word flick before using the word off in that sentence.
Yes. Yes. All right. That'll do it. Gotta drink this coffee hot. Who knew? Is that from Clerks?
Yeah. You mean I gotta drink this coffee hot? I mean, there's no ice. I miss Hubcast for 72 Pinto.
I miss Blockbuster. That is.
My video store I was a West Coast video guy. We were a national video before that, kind of a smaller Jersey chain, and then got scooped up by the West Coast video chain, and Blockbuster was our rivals. People return Blockbuster tapes to us all the time, despite that blue case that didn't say West Coast video on it anywhere.
That is crazy. That is truly crazy. All right. Steve says the slogan, take a whack with EMac. There we go. We like the alliteration. I miss Tower Records. There was a show. What was that show about the record store with Liv Tyler and some others?
It was a movie, Empire Records.
Empire Records. That's actually pretty good. The song they sing at the end is pretty good. Something about Sugar High, I think is what it's called.
Yep. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, it's Joey Lauren Adams in that movie.
That is tying it back to Kevin
Smith. There you go. Look at that connection.
There we are. All right, gamers. With that, you can have a good evening.